the pro bono gifts of Foley Hoag and the public interest capabilities of the Center for Public Representation has netted extraordinary change in the lives of thousands of people in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and beyond who are at risk for or who live with disabling conditions. The partnership between Foley Hoag as the pro bono member and the Center for Public Representation, their skills as litigants, their skills as mediators and negotiators bring something to the table that we as public policy and system reform advocates do not. That's really made the difference for me, is seeing lives open up for people who had been shut off from opportunity, shut off from choice, and certainly were too often not living in dignity.
On behalf of the entire firm, we'd like to thank the Massachusetts Association for Mental Health for all of your work for the people of Massachusetts. In particular, thank you for recognizing us for this Lifetime Achievement Award to honor the partnership with both Foley Hoag and the Center for Public Representation. MAMH has been a long-standing client of the firm, and through that work, we've supported their efforts to expand and improve access to high-quality mental health services. Pro bono is really in the DNA of our culture in our firm. A huge percentage of the attorneys here work on pro bono matters because they really want to help people and help the community. Foley Hoag and CPR succeeded in securing relief in the form of social, medical, disability, and housing services for thousands of people that were living with traumatic brain injuries, developmental disabilities, or psychiatric conditions. In my new role as managing partner, I'm really excited about the direction of the firm. So hearing about this kind of success and knowing that the lawyers here had an opportunity to work with CPR in this way was very exciting for me, and I felt very proud.
And so it's very easy to focus on sort of the headline numbers of, over the next several years, there's going to be at a minimum of 2,400 people moved into the community from nursing facilities. But to me, one of the more important and interesting parts of the agreement is that people will move, but they'll also have an opportunity to learn. Like, people will be able to visit places in the community, to be able to picture themselves re-entering the community. A very important part of the agreement is that it requires culturally and linguistically competent staff and services. When we did partner with CPR, I was blown away by the wealth of knowledge and the creativity that their legal team had concerning disability rights law, concerning civil rights law. Really, every facet of the litigation was made better and easier by this partnership.
Well, I think we had a great partnership. I think it started in the first case back in 1976 in the Brewster case, going all the way up to 2024. We were almost at the 50th anniversary. So our litigation group has worked very closely with CPR, and it's been great for the two organizations to work together. It's also been great for the residents of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Well, I think you see it in the litigation and the results from the litigation. And there's a lot more success in getting people based in the community and providing services and providing funding for it. One of the cases, I believe, worked to reverse cuts that were made in the budget for services that were being provided. So there's a history of, I think, 5 or 6 cases where we worked together and worked very successfully together. Well, we're just excited that both of these organizations are going to be honored, and that to demonstrate that partnerships can work and that the litigation process works, and that we can really improve things for people in our community. We are all extremely lucky that we live in Massachusetts.
So for people with disabilities who don't really have a voice, and certainly not a voice in Congress and state house legislatures where the will of the people could reflect their views, litigation becomes one of the most, if not the most, effective tool at promoting system change? Well, we really have three goals in the partnership. One is that, and the most important, is that large private firms know a lot about litigation. The second thing is we actually saw an opportunity to do cross-training. They would teach us about litigation. We would teach them about disability laws. And the third was that they had some resources that they could help us both bring the cases, litigate the cases, and finance the cases. But mostly what we were looking for was their talent and their expertise in litigation and our opportunity to cross-train them about what it's like to be a person with disabilities living in a facility. And so the partnership, I think, elevates both the issues and elevates the credibility of the initiative. If they would believe, if Foley Hoag believes in this case, the federal judge thinks maybe she should believe in the case.
MAMH has incredible credibility, and that has always been the case. And, you know, the person who was running the organization at the time had very, very close relationships with, you know, prominent legislators and so on and so forth. And I think when MAMH decided to take a stand and to become involved in the case, it really got a lot of people's attention in a way that would not have happened. Well, I think there's a certain gravitas in having, you know, a very well-established, well-regarded private firm that's deciding to invest in a case. And so I think for courts it sends a certain message. And I think for state defendants, it definitely gets their attention. And then I think finally, you know, Foley played a very large role when we actually appeared in court and did the hearing, and played a really important role in putting forth arguments to the court that were ultimately persuasive.
So over the last 40 or 50 years, I think there's been an appropriate developmental progression about affirming people's rights. So I think that kind of emancipation, from my point of view, really started with this kind of litigation that Foley Hoag supported and CPR drove with state government to benefit people, and particularly not only the individuals, but also their families. And ultimately it made the community stronger because people were all part of a community. Well, I think that litigation, maybe the initial sense is that people are maybe stuck in a certain position. They're coming from it from their point of view. I think what the litigation did, and particularly the mediators in these cases that I was involved in, was to find that common ground. And I think we're very fortunate to live in this Commonwealth, to have a good core set of values, to have a history and tradition that we treat everybody in this Commonwealth with dignity and respect. And I think that manifests itself in these cases.